If you want to increase your overall hunting success, you need to do the work to start holding more deer on your property. And a lot of the time, that involves busting out the chainsaw and bringing down that habitat to the deer's level. Today, I'm going to walk through a ridge on our family farm that used to be a pass-through, small, narrow woodlot. Now it's thick, it's full of deer beds, it's got cover right down in the deer's face, and it has been completely transformed over the last 6 to 7 years because of us busting out the chainsaw. So I'm going to walk through it, show you what it looks like now, and I'll even flash back to when I first started doing some cutting in this ridge, just to show you that transformation over time. So stick with me and I'll head into the ridge right now. Alright, so here's the top part of the ridge right here. You can see we got some nice oaks that we opened up right here. But this is a good example of what it used to look like in here. And if I just pan this direction, you can see it is thick, dense cover all the way through this ridge. So basically working all the way down to the bottom where we drop into a kind of a river bottom down there. So it has gotten very, very thick, and this ridge holds a lot of deer now, whereas before it just used to be a pass-through ridge. The deer would travel through here at night, but that was about it. There was nothing bedding in this ridge. So you can see I got trails weaving through this entire thing, cut in all directions, because I want to keep this nice and open and accessible for the deer, but still have that high stem count cover right down in the deer's face. I mean, this area has exploded because we've let sunlight into here. The trees that are left standing are oak trees, but we got a lot of sunlight pouring into this area now, and the cover is right back down at the deer's level. So they have responded in a big, big way to all that cover. Now throughout this ridge there's a lot of spots like this. Big flat impressions right next to some of these cut down trees. Now this is a hinge tree. Often the deer like bedding up next to those. But really all these flat spots where they can bed up next to cover tend to have a lot of deer beds. You can see as I kind of cut through one of these trails here, there's the trail kind of weaving right through here. I mean, this is phenomenal cover. And it is right down at the deer's level. All these stems are going to be browse this winter. Now I'm up in Minnesota. Woody browse is king in the winter. It's what helps get our deer through the winter. So all these stems down at the deer's level are going to act as food for the deer and help them push through those really high stress months. You know, it is, once we get 2 to 3 feet of snow, which it's a beautiful day today, but there is snow on the horizon. It's 50 degrees today. We got snow, up to 8 inches of snow they're talking in 2 days. So this is all going to change, and the deer are really going to push in here heavy and use this as a browse area. Because if this was closed canopied woods and there was no undergrowth here, this would not be food, this would not be cover for the deer. But this is going to go a long ways to helping the deer out this winter. And there's one thing I added several years ago to this bedding area is some spruce. You can see one there, there's one over there. Because I want to get a bit of a thermal component to this too. Whenever I do these bedding cuts, I'm trying to think what I can do to make this a year-round bedding area. And adding a little bit of thermal cover with the spruce trees can help to make this even more attractive in the winter. Another thing that's nice to have in these bedding cuts are kind of these open islands here. As you can see, I got kind of a little closed canopied pocket, so not much undergrowth, but often these spots see a lot of bedding because the cover is still thick all the way around here. So the deer can push in here and kind of have that really nice room with a view. You don't always have to cut every single tree down. It's nice to leave these open pockets like this. So when I cut these areas in, And I like to have my trails kind of weaving through it, but the deer also, they just find their open spots. Now this is one that I think I might have had a light trail at one point, and it's overgrown some, as evidenced by I cut that big log there to open it up so they can get through here. But here's a big old impression right here, and you can see why the deer like it. I mean, you can get down here, it's the flattest spot right here. They got a nice view out that way, but I mean, good escapes every single direction. They can cut right up back up the ridge if they want to. So they find their spots in here too. Now I geek out on the detail side of this, so I still plan on coming in, kind of opening some of this back up because it has gotten really thick, and I just want it to be as accessible as possible. But when that hunting pressure ramps up, when the bucks are pushing the does hard, now this is the kind of stuff that those does push into. So this area is, regardless of if you keep it super clean and open or not, the does are going to find this stuff because it's the best cover in the area. And there's one reason why you want to check your bedding cuts. So you got buckthorn right there. I've noticed a few of them, a few younger ones. Now most of this stuff is going to get suppressed pretty heavily by all this other native regen that's kind of shot up past it, but I do like to make a mental note of where this garbage is at so I can come back in when I'm doing my maintenance and spot treat it and kill it, because I do not want to lose my bedding areas to that kind of crap. So here's a spot where we open up again a bit. What do we got? Those are red oaks up there, so that's why they got to stay standing. But again, I got my trails kind of weaving through here, heading up the ridge. Got my trail cutting down here, heading down the ridge. You can see I still got my scattered spruce trees popping up through here. There's one right there. Still just very thick, and that was the goal in this area. And these are all deer trails running through here. And again, I've not done any maintenance in this area in at least a couple of years, so it's definitely gotten a bit grown in, but I mean, the deer are still in here. So if you don't have the time to do the maintenance, it's not the end of the world. But if you do keep them a little bit more open, the deer will certainly utilize the space you give them. So here's kind of one of the main runs that goes through this cut. Now there's a big bed there. I remember actually bumping a deer out of here, right out of that bed, when I was working in this spot a couple of years ago. And it looks like they're still maintaining it. But you can see there's just, you got nice rub there. Actually, this whole edge I think normally gets torn up. Yeah, there we go. Rubbed up tree right there. So this is kind of one of those main chutes that goes through this bedding cut. And the reason they would like this one is because a lot of the bedding's kind of up on top here. So if a buck was running through here, they could scent check on a northwest, everything coming off this direction. And again, this was once wide open park-like woods, and now look at that. Super duper thick. Oh yeah, a little green right there. Gotta take care of that buckthorn. Here's a brief look at what it used to look like. You can see the only structure is basically the trees I cut. I do gotta apologize for my poor videography skills. Hopefully I do a better job painting the picture now in my current videos of what things look like. But yeah, you can see I had built up some beds, but really my hinge trees were all I had for structure. And you can see the deer still utilize the down structure because it was the only cover that was on this bedding ridge. Now I have the benefit of the sunlight coming in this area, creating that woody regeneration that was so desperately needed. So this area has blown up and gotten far thicker and created much better security coverage than the initial handful of hinge trees that I had in this area when I first walked into it and did my cutting. I'm kind of heading up to a really nice bedding knoll. You can see here these spruce are a little bit more full because they're getting more sunlight than those other ones that are getting suppressed. I might actually open those up a little bit more just so they can fill out. But here's one of the best bedding points in this bedding area. I know the deer love to bed up top here. You can see big old flat impression right here. And this is just a dynamite bedding spot. Great view. Sorry if the sun is messing with me here, but a great view of the valley below right here. And just a perfect flat knoll that kind of drops off. So I honed in on this spot, made sure I kept it nice and open so the deer could lie down here. I even like the fact there's a little grass right here. And the deer have definitely responded. So normally I find a few beds right over here too. Looks like a big, oh yeah, definitely a couple of nice flat impressions right here. Might be tough to see that on the video. But again, big flat spot up top here. Nice escape cutting out that way. Nice escape cutting out that direction. And right up on the top of the ridge here. So these are one of those spots that give the deer all the advantage. So that's why they like to bed here. Alright, here's kind of the way bottom of this one. And we actually did log some of these out of here when we had the property logged. So I didn't have to cut all this. You can see we got the aspen regen bumping on the bottom right down in here. And I know there's residual bedding kind of that floats through that, but here's one of my other main travel corridors that weaves through this thing. Got busy this year, so I didn't really clean this one up too much, but it looks like the deer did a fairly decent job keeping it open for me. But yeah, again, this works the bottom, so kind of works downwind of the majority of the bedding. And the deer follow the script. You lay it out for them, they'll utilize it. I want to make one note of this. So this was, post-logging, this was all thistle right here. And I've shared it before, but I'll share it again. Do not freak out if you have thistle that comes in once you open up the canopy. The woody stuff will win out eventually. Now this is all transitioned over into mostly goldenrod. But I know eventually this is going to convert into woody stuff. I can already see some brambles going in with the raspberries, but I'm sure eventually aspen and some basswood and I'm sure some ironwood. Got an oak right there. So that's going to start filling in here because the woody stuff always beats out the thistle eventually in these timbered areas. So did not worry about the thistle, didn't panic, didn't try to spray it. You spray it, you just get a bunch more coming back. I just was patient, and now it's goldenrod, which is good for deer, and eventually it'll be trees. Alright, here's kind of my top trail. Runs along the top. This is more where I think the serious bedding occurs. They filter back. I kind of edge feathered all this, and they filter back through all that. So I wanted to kind of keep one main run open right here. Again, you can see my spruce are doing well. They're filling in. This trail has definitely stayed open well. All kinds of little filter trails kind of cutting off of it. But just giving the deer options. Giving them the ability to move around freely in here as they so choose. And all it took was a chainsaw. And look at that. Wide open spaces up top. Alright, well, I'm about to work my way out of this one, so I will let you all go. Y'all take care. God bless.